Magician did not manifest until after college. However, he always took the opportunity to be in front of an audience, like you guys. Lance attended high school right here in AGWSR and graduated in 2005, participating in basketball, football, track, baseball, FCCLA, band, vocal, NHS, speech, and student council. He has largely been affected by his faith in Christianity. Performing magic has given him a chance to talk about the real issues in today's society. Creating goals without deadlines or dreams. This motto inspired Lance to start creating deadlines to achieve his goals in his magic career. One of his goals while performing is to inspire his audience to believe in overcoming the impossible. Lance is actively pursuing to one day work on a cruise ship. Ladies and gentlemen, Lance Nikolai.
I just want to say I'm really pleased to be here. Like you said, I graduated in 2005. This school really means a lot to me. If you see some of these banners, I helped set some of these banners up. When I was in high school, I was one of the captains here for the football team, and we lost the game right before the state championship. I also contributed a lot to getting third place at state basketball in 2005. So it's really my honor to be here. And some of the things that I learned here at AGWSR High School really set me up for what I'm doing today. Currently, I work at West Des Moines Community Schools substitute teaching. I also tutor outside of that. I'm working about 55 hours and also do magic on the side of that. And I don't tell you guys that to, whoa, he's doing a lot. I'm telling you guys that because it takes a lot of hard work to get where I'm at. So the first thing I want to talk about, has anybody here ever seen the movie? No, not now, you see me. I'm trying to give a success message. But have you guys ever seen The Karate Kid? Okay, and I'm not talking about the new Karate Kid. I'm talking about the Karate Kid in the 1980s. Okay, I'm going to just talk about that. The main character was Daniel, and Daniel was getting beat up by a lot of the kids, the rich kids. So he wanted to learn karate. So he goes, and he didn't want to learn the principles behind it or the method. He was just getting tired of beating up. So he goes to Mr. Miyagi. Mr. Miyagi, can you teach me how to, do karate? And Mr. Miyagi's like, yeah, I can do that. I'm that guy. So Daniel comes in and Mr. Miyagi says to him, he's like, you might want to change your clothes, because he had like some, the karate suit and the shoes, and he goes and changes the clothes to some more like, work clothes. And he says, do you see that floor? I need you to sand the floor. And then after you're done sanding the floor, I want you to wash these cars and wax them. And then after you're done waxing the car, I want you to go over here. You see that fence? I want you to paint that fence. So Daniel's hurt. He's like, what? I came here to learn karate. I don't want to do your chores. So he starts, waxing the car, and Mr. Miyagi says, no, that's not right. This is the correct way. Wax on, wax off. Then he's like, okay, you got that done. Paint the fence. Show me paint the fence. No, that's not the way to do it. You got to paint the fence like this. After he was done, Mr. Miyagi's like, yeah, you've done a pretty good job. So, I need you to come back tomorrow, and I have 5 more cars for you to wax. So Daniel's like, whoa. He comes back, and after about 3 days of this, he's like, man, Mr. Miyagi, he pulled a fast one on me, I'm going to quit. And as he's walking away, after he tells Mr. Miyagi he's going to quit, he says, come on back here. He's like, no, you didn't teach me any karate, I'm done with you. So he's like, no, come on back. And he said, show me paint the fence. So Daniel goes to paint the fence. And then Mr. Miyagi starts to throw some punches at him. And then Daniel blocks him. And then he shows me, wax the car, wax the car. So now Mr. Miyagi is punching him and throwing kicks at him. And Daniel just blocking them. And then Mr. Miyagi's done. And Daniel's like, whoa. Where did I learn that? So what Daniel just learned was that Mr. Miyagi wasn't throwing him all these chores at him. He was the karate with a lot of different hard work, okay? And I'm a substitute, and a lot of things I hear today in schools, they say, you know, why do we have to learn this? I'm never going to use this ever. Well, what a lot of kids don't know and students don't know is what you guys are learning, it's the process, okay? Daniel learned to love the process because that's what made him a good, you know, knowing how to do karate, and he won the tournament at the end of the movie. So what I really want to emphasize to you today, guys, is you got to love the process. Because if you don't love the process, you're never going to be successful. Okay? It's a lot of hard work. So I thought I would just do a few magic tricks here before I get into the real workings of the assembly. One day at college, a professor challenged me, and he gave me 3 pieces of rope. And then he said, if you don't get an A on this presentation, I'm going to fail you. Okay, so your grade depends on this. So I had to come up with a theory and prove that theory. So on the day of the presentation, I go to my professor and I say, do you see these 3 pieces of rope? They're all the same length. And the professor's like, you might as well just stop right now. Okay, you failed. And I was like, no, just watch. If you take the short piece of the rope to the top like this, and the medium piece of rope to the top like this, and the long piece of rope to the top like this, you could agree that they're all the same length by their ends. Dead silence then, dead silence now. But I said, nothing really happens until I start to tug on the rope like this till they become the same length. Okay? And I showed the professor that I had 1 piece of rope, I had 2 pieces of rope, and I had 3 pieces of rope of all the same length. And my professor said, that is not possible. Okay? And I said, well, I always keep the short piece of rope here, the medium piece of rope here, and I always save the long piece of rope for last, just in case I mess up. Okay, a lot of people ask me, Mr. Nikolai, can you teach us a magic trick? And I say, no. I'm not going to teach you guys a magic trick, because I want to keep my job. But I thought about this before I came here, and I thought to myself, well, if that were true, if magicians never revealed their secret, they would never be magicians. So, I'm going to teach you guys a magic trick, but first I'm going to show you. Alright? Just take a yellow handkerchief like this, okay? And you start to put it into your fist. And when it passes through your fist, magically and mysteriously, it changes into a beautiful shade of blue. The more you push in, the more you can pull out. Okay? And that's the mystery of the color-changing handkerchief. Now, before I teach you this, I'm going to need to hear some applause. This is very simple. You're going to need a blue handkerchief, and I always keep a yellow handkerchief hidden in my fist for this trick. So, the key thing you have to do is, backstage when nobody else is looking, you got to put it into your fist, and it's very important that you do this when nobody is looking. You come out on stage and you wave the yellow handkerchief, and it's very important that you don't prematurely open the left hand and show them that blue handkerchief. Okay? Now, it's also very important that you never drop the blue handkerchief. So you come on and you run the handkerchief through your hands and you place the yellow handkerchief on top of the blue handkerchief. And then you pull it out. Okay? Now, I know I make this look very, very easy. And it's important that you guys know that there are some problems to occur. Sometimes when you pull out when you're pushing it in and you're pulling out, sometimes the blue one will inadvertently slip out. Okay? And there's a name for this in magic. It's called inadvertently slipping out. And if that were to happen, just quickly put it into your hand like that, and hopefully nobody sees it. Okay? And continue to push that yellow one in. Just like that. And on the count of 3, I need your guys' help. I need you guys to say Nikolai Magic. Ready? 1, 2, 3, Nikolai Magic. Hey, hopefully you guys enjoyed that. That's just some of the stuff I do. So, what I'm really here to talk to you today about is about 3 things. So hopefully I don't overload your mind too much. This is called I am. And I am, each individual letter stands for a different part of being successful. I is all about an idea. Okay? In this stage, this is where everything starts. You have to have an idea. One of the main things with anybody ever heard of Henry Ford? Okay? One day he came to his engineers and he said, I have this idea. I want you to take he had the idea of the 8-cylinder in one block. Okay? He came to his engineers and said, I want 8 cylinders in one block. And he said, I want it. So the engineers took that and they made a design. Okay? They drew up the design. But after they had drawn this design up, what had happened is they realized that it was impossible to make an 8 cylinders in one block. So they said to him, I'm sorry, Mr. Ford, it's not possible. So Mr. Ford said, I don't care, I want it. And I want you to work on it as long as it takes. They came away and still, it's not possible. So 6 months goes on, and they're like, no progress. Now, these engineers had no say in this, because if they didn't want to do this, they were out of their job. So another 6 months comes around, and Mr. Ford comes in and is like, what do you guys got for me? Like, we don't have anything, it's impossible. So, Mr. Ford said, I don't care, keep working on it, tell me when you figure it out. So they kept working on it a little bit longer, and almost by a snap of magic, they figured it out. Okay? The main idea in this is Henry Ford, he had an idea, and his idea was he wanted it so bad, he didn't care what it took. He kept on continuing to pursue that until he finally had what he wanted. So, in order to figure out, your idea, you also have to have some goals. And if you guys were listening, one of my models was goals without deadlines, are nothing. You guys will never achieve your goals if you don't set deadlines. And I realized when I started setting my own goals for myself and putting some deadlines on it, I reached that goal faster than that deadline. Okay? I had a deadline for a school assembly as 5/31/2014. And you guys know we're still in 2013, so I had reached that goal. Right? I gave myself time to achieve that goal, and I was able to accomplish that goal before. So it's very important to set goals. So we got short-term goals and long-term goals. And I knew there was a bunch of goals that I had to accomplish before I could make it. So when it was this early January, I started performing stage. So I said to myself, what is it going to take to get to those long-term goals? So I knew I had to start performing. I went to a cafe in West Des Moines, and I said, is it okay if I perform here? So I made that relationship with the owner. Whenever I want to perform, they say, yeah, come right in. So I've been able to perform 4 or 5 times. I put together tons of different shows, so I'm always constantly working. So it's very good to find out what your goals are. And I was able to talk to some students this morning, and I hear you guys are having a pretty good football season, 9-0, right? So I asked him what was his goal, and of course his goal was, win that state championship. And I said, what are you doing to achieve that? What have you done? And I mean, if you guys think, he was lifting weights. The team took a couple individuals to a clinic, right, to find, to help them with those goals. And look at what's happening now. You guys are, and I mean, that's phenomenal. This school hasn't had too many state championships. I know that the girls basketball team, a couple years after I graduated, they got their state championship. I was this close. We were this close for a state championship, so it's really hard. So I would encourage you guys, you football players, this is an important time. And you guys can do it. I know it. You guys are excited about that? Doesn't seem like it. Let's hear it. Yeah, another thing that kind of goes along with that is I want to ask you, what are your expectations? Do you guys set expectations for yourself? I was in one of my college classes, and we were talking about stereotypes in America today. And there was an Asian kid in the class, and he raises his hand. And he says, the stereotype about Asians are they're smart in everything they do. And that's not true. I'm not good at math. And it was funny because the teacher there was his advisor, and he's like, what? You're not good at math? I see you at every studying session. You have a grade of an A-. You're not good at math? He's like, no, I'm not. I had to do a lot of hard work to get that A. And he said, well, what makes you different? Like, why do you work so hard when all these other people aren't working harder? And he said, from where I come from, if I don't do well academically, I shame the dynasty. And I was like, what? The dynasty? I'm from the Midwest, and what the dynasty means to me is, I'm a 49ers fan. So 1980s, that was the dynasty. The Chicago Bulls of the 90s, that was a dynasty to me. But where he's from, he shames his family, the dynasty. And I said to myself, a dynasty, how many people do you think a dynasty is? Like 50? No. How many? Millions. Millions. He would have shamed millions of people. So he had a level of expectations. Alright? And his expectations make him work that hard. And as our society progresses, you students need to think about that. What are your expectations? Okay? Do you want to get A's? Do you want to get B's? Do you want to go to college? The funny thing about success is, success doesn't care who you are. Right? You don't have to be wealthy to be successful. You don't have to have anything. Success will come to you if you have those expectations and work for it. So I think that's very key for you guys to think about. The next goal here is action. Alright? So you have an idea, and then now you have action. So you need to transition from the I to the A. I got to talk to a couple of people, and one of the guys, he wanted to do some editing. His name was Miguel. And Miguel told me that, I said to him, like, what were you doing? He had an idea of editing, and then his idea was to do that, and he went to YouTube, and he got working with YouTube. When I was a kid, in your guys' shoes, 2005, that's when I think YouTube is just coming popular. You can go to YouTube now and figure out whatever you want. I mean, it'll teach you anything. So he did that, and he's working on that type of goal. So I thought that was cool. And there's a saying that says it's 1% inspiration and 90% perspiration. A lot of people have these ideas, but they do nothing about it, okay? Because they haven't transitioned from the I to the A. So before we go any further, this is more participation in my set. So I brought with me an item, and I'm going to throw it out into the audience. Okay? Some of the girls in the front row are like, don't throw that brick at me. It's a sponge, guys. Okay. So whoever catches the brick, I need to come up here. All right, come up here. Hey, what's your name? Riley? Okay, Riley. You are a lucky guy. You are Mr. Clutch. Because what I got here today is I got 7 things, different colored bags, and whatever is underneath them, you're going to win. Okay? So, I want you to think of maybe a memory that you have, all right, and think about the month that it's in. Okay? And I have a little visual aid here with me. It has all the months, and it has different colors. Okay? So do you have a month in mind of a certain memory? Okay? October. Let's see. October. And October is this month, so that's the 10th month. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You chose green. All right, let's see what Riley has won. Riley has won a $1 bill. Okay? You're welcome. All right. Now, if Riley would have made a different decision, if he would have chose a different month, let's see what he would have won. Okay, a $100 bill. Nothing. Nope, a $100 bill. Another $100 bill. A $100 bill. A $100 bill. And a $100 bill. But Riley chose October, so he won a $1 bill. I have a girl right here, she's like, man, I should have took that break. Okay? Thank you, Riley. So, now we have to take action. And what action is all about is making decisions. And if Riley would have made a different decision, he could have had a different result. He could have chose 11 different months and had $100. He would have been a happy camper. But don't worry, Riley, because you're going to remember this for the rest of your life. Okay? You're going to know what the value of making a decision is, and I guarantee you that if you take that with you, that lesson is going to be worth more than you see on this table. Okay, and that's more than $600. I promise you. So, it's all about making decisions. When I decided to step into magic, my decision was, well, one of my goals, as Steve read out, was I want to work on a cruise ship. So I knew I had to start performing. So when I figured this out, my decisions was that I had to have a course of action. I had to have an action plan. So what I did is I had that decision and I wrote out a bunch of actions. So the first thing I did, I said to myself, okay, I'm going to need a website. I'm going to need a video camera to tape me so I can put up on my website. I'm going to need a new camera also to shoot pictures, so I have pictures for my website. And then I also knew that I was going to have to, have some high quality material to, appeal to the audience like yourselves. So what I did is I had all those decisions to make, and I took action on them. If you guys ever study anybody who's successful, they hit a lot of roadblocks. The most famous example would be, Michael Jordan when he was a sophomore in high school. He got cut from his team. Okay, and did you guys know that Oprah Winfrey, they said that she would never make it into the TV business because she was overweight. She didn't have what it took. And there's plenty of other different examples of Roger Bannister running the 4-minute mile. That was impossible. Okay? But what they did is they took what they wanted to do and they decided, they made that decision that I don't care what they tell me, I'm going to work as hard as I can and prove them wrong. And if anybody's heard Michael Jordan's Hall of Fame speech, you got a lot of examples with that. Okay? So it's all about making decisions. And one of the decisions that I made was to invest in myself. I think that's very important, to invest in yourself. And I had to learn magic by myself. So I bought DVDs, I bought books, and I started learning. And it's very important because without investing in myself, I would not be here today. So, I want you guys to just think about this. A lot of people aren't successful because they don't have that ambition. So you guys got to find out what your ambition is to do that. Okay. How many people have smartphones, iPhones? Tons of them. Okay. Do any of you guys use that in class? You guys hear this? I heard a couple guesses. Could I have someone with an iPhone, maybe in the front row, get it out for me and trust me this is okay? Somebody willing. Okay? When I summon West Point, every once in a while this will happen. I'll have to teach them a lesson. It's okay. Does this have insurance? Okay. It's good to have insurance too, but every once in a while people have to learn this the hard way. And if you put a balloon through it, it's a lot harder to work. So I found. And the only way to get it out is that you just pull it right out. Thank you so much. How many of you do that? Like I said, invest in yourself. A lot of you guys would be successful. A lot of you guys would have 3.5, 4.0 GPAs if you just took your cell phone and put it in a balloon like I just did. Okay, a lot of people, I had a lot of people in college, they would say, man, I just got back from a studying session, I just studied 5 hours. Like, you were on your cell phone for 2.5 of them. You know, what did you expect? So, another thing is, you guys gotta be obsessed with improvement. One of my mentors, he told me, if you work on your job, you will make a living. But if you work on yourself, you will make a fortune. And that got my attention. I said, so if I was committed every day to improving myself, working on a different skill every month, that I make a fortune, and he's like, yes, you could. So that got my attention. And I found out that, information changes situations. So if you guys don't like the situation that you are in right now, invest in yourself. Because there's a bunch of, different examples. These kids were broke. They had nothing. But they invested in themselves. And they made millions. Okay? So, that changed my thinking, and now I don't read because I see other people reading. I read because I truly believe in reading. Right? So, if you take my knowledge and you take my experience, I'm nothing. I'm broke. Okay? But with that knowledge and experience, I have the opportunity to make a fortune. And one of the messages I want to tell you is, money's money does not mean success. Okay? If you think about a lot of celebrities, they're very wealthy and successful, but would you consider some of those successful lives? I wouldn't if you look at their life, okay, because they don't have any order. So, like I said, I've read books, I've watched DVDs, and I truly believe in investing in yourself. So I brought 3 books with me today, and we did a little random drawing. And I'm going to give 3 people some books. So the first person I have is Jasmine Blanchard. So if Jasmine Blanchard is here, would she like to come down? Okay. I'll give your book with the teacher, and they can probably hand it to you. Another person here is Devin Brown. Devin Brown here? Why could you come down? Okay, so Devin, we got the Destination of Success. Okay? You're welcome. And Devin, I just got done with reading this book. It tells you about, the process of being successful. So I want you to take that book and really, you have the opportunity to change your life right now. I promise you. So take that and read it, see what you can get from it. You're welcome. The last one here is, I felt so welcomed with Carrie Doyle, so I thought it would be a good idea to give him a book here. The 21 Most Powerful Minutes in a Leader's Day. So, you're welcome. And if you guys are kind of disappointed that you didn't get a book, they don't cost very much. I think I got most of those books for five or so dollars. So if you guys want to really improve yourself, I really encourage you guys to start reading. All right, so the last thing I got to talk to you guys about is motivation, but I thought we'd do some really good magic trick before we got doing that. So could you come up and help me? Yeah. So one time I didn't have my assistant, so I had to call somebody up on stage to be my assistant. So what I want you to do is just check out that rope. Pull on it. Yeah, get the knot out. Okay? Nothing really funky about this. And take this scissors. Okay, what we're going to do here is we're going to test, and what you Alexa, we're going to test your cutting ability. Some people don't know how to cut. I actually had a middle school, he's used to cutting paper, so it was really hard to cut this rope. All you have to do is open it up and just really put the rope at that end, okay? Keep a nice cut, okay? It works just like that. Now, this could have been the left end and this could have been the right end, but I'm not sure because she cut off the ends. So, apparently that's only funny. That's funny for the intelligent. Thank you. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take the middle, and what I want you to do is just cut the middle loop for me. Perfect. So what we got to do now is 2 equal pieces of rope. Equal at the top and equal at the top and pretty dang close. So what I'm going to do is, it's really important that they be the same length. So could you cut that off so they're the same length? Thank you. So now we got equal at the top and equal at the... Try. I don't think she quite understands, which is okay. So I think maybe we should just start over. Okay, is that okay? Okay. So what I'm going to do here now is instead of using the scissors, because I don't want to get hurt after a few of those jokes, what I want you to do is make scissors with your fingers. Okay, just like that when you cut it. Okay? So now we have 2 equal pieces of rope. Is it equal at the bottom? Well, it's kind of not equal at the top. So what I want you to do is, we're going to take the ends right here and be very careful. So yeah, cut them off. Okay, we got the left end here. All right. So let's do this one more time. See what we can get out of this. So cut the middle loop. Yeah, we're just. Okay. Now we got. Well, it doesn't matter that they're unequal because we're not going in. I'm just going to tie a knot right here. Okay? And I like to make things a little bit more difficult for me. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually make a knot. Okay? And I'm going to have you cut it. Now, it's very important. The white part is the rope, and the fleshy part is the magician. Okay, good. Thank you very much. And since I like to live dangerously, I'm going to make one more knot. But the assistant has magic breath. Do you have magic breath? I wasn't sure, so I came prepared. Okay? I promise you this will give you a magic breath. Okay? Hurry up. Okay, what I want you to do is face this way. And on the count of 3, I want you to blow those knots right off. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay? 2 out of 3 is not so bad. Okay, take it with that hand. What I want you to do is just blow the middle note right off. Middle light, not right off. It's okay. How about hold on to it tight? How about blow it off there? It's okay. You can just take it home and practice. So, it's motivation. Now, we're in the last cycle here, and think about it. If you guys don't have any motivation for what you do, you're not going to continue down the process. So, it really all starts with motivation. And a lot of the times, people, students, they're not thinking about the long term, what their goals are, what they want to do with their life. So, I found out if you guys have a passion for what you do, it doesn't matter what it is, you will continue to do that and be successful. Anybody here know who Steve Jobs was? Okay? Many of you guys, if you guys know anything about Steve Jobs, is he wasn't really, he didn't create the computer, he didn't create, all this technology. He took what everybody else did and he made it simple for you guys to use. And he said, somebody asked him, how do you do what you do? And he said that a lot of times when, people get these roadblocks and they get these problems, they quit because it's really, really hard. It would take someone pretty, kind of not so smart to continue on because they hit these failures. But he said if you guys had a passion for what you do, it's going to keep you going because they had a survey for about the top 100 most successful people, maybe about 50 years ago in this book, and they said, they asked them, what made you successful? And they said, I was actually about ready to quit, okay, because they kept on failing. And, but we kept on going because I truly believed in what I was doing, and lo and behold, they hit that success. Does anybody here know who Samuel Pierpont Langley is? Exactly who? So prior to the 20th century, Samuel Pierpont Langley, everybody was trying to figure out the powered man flight. Okay? And at the time, Samuel Pierpont Langley had everything that he needed, the recipe for success. So let's take and look at that for a second. Samuel Pierpont Langley, he was giving $50,000 by the War Department to figure out this flying machine. That was a lot of money back then. Okay? So money was not an issue. He also had a seat at Harvard, and he worked at the Smithsonian, and he was connected with the best minds of the day. And he went and bought the best mines that money could find, and the market conditions at the time was fantastic. The New York Times followed him wherever he went, and everybody was rooting for Langley to succeed. So, how come we've never heard of Samuel Pierpont Langley? Because a few hundred miles away, in Dayton, Ohio, there were these two brothers, Orville and Wilbur Wright. They had none of what everybody assumed was the recipe for success. They had no money. They paid for their dream with the proceeds from their bicycle shop. And not even one person on their team had a college education. Not even Orville or Wilbur. The difference is Orville and Wilbur, they had a cause, they had a purpose, they had a belief. They believed that if they figured out this flying machine, that it would change the course of the world. That's what drove them. Samuel Pierpont Langley had a different idea. He wanted to become rich, and he wanted to become famous. He was in pursuit of the riches, and lo and behold, you can see what happened. Now, there was a story about the Wright brothers that they took 5 set of parts with them because they would crash 5 times before they came in for supper. And eventually, on December 17, 1903, the Wright brothers took flight, and nobody was even there to experience it. We didn't find out about it until a couple days later. And further evidence that Samuel Pierpont Langley had the wrong motives is because the day that he figured out that the Wright brothers had figured out the flying machine, the airplane, guess what he did? He quit. He wasn't first. He didn't become famous. He didn't become rich. So he quit. Now, he could have looked at that and he could have said, that's a really amazing discovery. I'm going to build on your technology, but he didn't. And it's very important that you guys know this, that it doesn't matter how much money that you guys make, okay? That's not what's going to drive this success. If you guys look at anybody who has millions and millions of dollars, they ask this guy, what would it take to have you quit your job? And without a thought, he said, give me more money and I will quit. Right? Money is never enough. So, the Wright brothers, they had a purpose, they had a cause, they had a belief, and they were willing to shed blood, sweat, and tears and risk all their money to change the course of the world. Okay? Everybody in here, if they have enough drive, if they have enough passion, you guys can change the world. And I hope you do. That's one of the reasons I'm here today. I want you guys to change the world. You know, so you guys can pay for me when I'm too old to work. Because I need some of that Social Security. Right? No, but like I said, find what you're passionate about. Find what you really love, and that will set you for the rest of your life. I have one last magic trick that I'd like to perform. And I think it will really set what I want to say. One of the things I like to do is I like to do magic, and I also like to do mentalism. And I think I like to do mentalism so much because I think everybody at one point in time has wanted to read somebody else's mind, if it was just for a simple yes or no. So, I'm going to ask a few people here. To think about it. And it's really, I had a great math teacher when I was here, Mr. Mays. He taught me about stats and probability. And if you think about it, you know, mentalism is all about probability. So I want to ask you, sir, right there. Okay? Now, I want you to think about a vacation. I want you to think about if you could go anywhere. Don't say it just yet. Think of a vacation spot. Okay, so I'm going to use the probability to kind of figure out what he might say. You know, usually people don't like the cold, don't like the snow that we got today. So I'm guessing it might be somewhere warm. You got it in your mind? Okay. Send it to me mentally. Okay, I think I got it. I'm committed. What did you say?
Germany.
Germany? No. Were you thinking of it? In Germany?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Usually people stay in the United States, and that's what I was thinking. But that's okay. All right, that's okay. There was a bunch of different things he could have said. So let's try to, it's okay. What I want you to think is, you. Okay, I want you to think of a hobby, okay? Think of a hobby. Do you got a hobby? Not do you got a hobby. I'm asking her if she has a hobby in her mind, like, you got one? Okay. Now, you know, this is a little bit easier. There's only, you know, a certain amount of things. You know, maybe she might be crafty, she might be sporty. Yeah, I think I got it. Was it more of a sport? It was a sport. Did it have anything to do with something that you might hold in your hand? In softball? I took you for a softball player. Let's see, you can see I was getting closer. And guys, in mentalism, if you're 50% right, and what was it, by the way? Basketball. It was basketball? If you're 50% right in mentalism, you're really a good mentalist. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is, so I don't mess up the last one, I'm going to use some cards. Okay? So I'm going to have somebody in the front row select a card. Just tell me when to stop. Okay, you can look at it, don't let me see. Okay. She didn't know this, but I had her pick from somewhere in the center, so I'm working with about 20 different things because I kind of memorized the deck a little bit. See, when you're as old as me, I get a little bit more smarter as the things go. I think I got it. Was your card, was it a black card? Well, I think the message is going to change a little bit. I think the message now should be like, stay on cool. Okay. It's very important that when you guys meet failure, that you keep going. I messed up once, I messed up twice, I messed up 3 times. You know, big deal. That's not going to prevent me from, you know, doing what I love. I'm going to go, you know, next Saturday and perform at this opera house. So when I accidentally fail times, I don't care about that. So I think you guys should think about that. Have you failed in your life before? Is that going to make you stop doing what you love? Because it's not going to be me. Because if you keep on going and saying no, that's not going to affect me. I'm going to keep doing what I love to do. Eventually, you'll be successful. The more work that you do, you'll be successful. A lot of my opportunities are hidden in hard work. So, when you fail, and fail and fail, and you keep trying, you will be successful. Something like this. Basketball. And what was the card? The 7 of Hearts. So I'm going to give you a few words here. Okay. Believe in yourself. Try. Dream. And do good. Okay? Those 4 things, I think, if you do those 4 things, you're going to be successful. Like I said in my speech earlier, do good is one of the things that I want to do. And I'm talking about how can I help society. I got a call last night, and there's a guy in a middle school in Des Moines, and he just had a brain tumor removed. And they asked him, will you come and donate some of your time to our school, give a 45-minute magic performance, because this kid has a tumor, and his birthday is on October 31st. And I was like, yes, I will. And it's because it's like, I can do phenomenal things. I can do these things, and I can make a lot of money. But if I don't affect, somebody else's life, like what I do is it really means a whole lot of nothing. Because when I die, it doesn't matter how much money I have in the world, how much of things I accomplish, it's going to mean nothing. So, I really want to help you guys achieve what you want to achieve. The thing about magic is it gives you that thing inside of wonder, and the child really comes out on you, and you can believe again like your children, and you can do whatever you want. So be phenomenal or be forgotten. Thank you guys.